and their journey to greater friendship and their life together in the ministry.
And on the occasion of their retirement, they'll discuss the next episode.
Here's a little background on Pastor Billy G. Russell. He hails from a large Southern family of 12. He's a former football standout who became a standout school principal. He has a Bachelor of Science degree, a Master in Education, and a doctorate in, is it divinity, in theology?
Educational leadership.
Okay. And a doctorate. I'm just going to say doctorate.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Well, leadership.
Not theology, but
No, not theology.
Okay. He has a Bachelor's of Science degree, a Master's in Education, and a doctorate. He is the former president of the Minnesota Baptist Convention and pastor of Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. Because when this plays, will you have been then former?
No, I'll be still parallel to August, so
So should we say former or say current?
let's say Karen.
Okay.
Would you say president?
I'll just say and president and president. I'll take out this former.
Okay. First Lady Theresa Russell is a wife, mother of 5, nurse, practitioner, and entrepreneur. She has helped to create the solid foundation for her family and the ministry she loves.
Together, their ministry motto is, "We are all one in spirit, and we are better together." So we'll start out with you, Pastor Russ, to tell us about your roots and how it shaped your life's mission.
All right, we better keep going. We better go on because we start this. I ain't going back. I ain't gonna say it because
That's okay.
Let's
Okay.
do it. Let's
Okay,
do
but you
it.
got a feeling how it's going to go, and we're good. We're good.
We're gonna do that first intro part, and then we're gonna run through. And so each one of the segments we want to try to keep, because you're gonna play them in different nights.
Right.
So I got 7 questions, and basically, those 7 questions should give us about 7 to 10 minutes
Okay.
in each one of the segments.
Okay.
Do you think?
I don't think it'll be that long.
Do you want it
It
to be
depends
more
on how
like
much you
5
talk.
minutes?
I'm whispering through a mic.
I know.
Well, we'll go with it however. The editor up there will make it work.
Oh,
Okay.
where'd he go? Okay.
Are you ready? We are. Oh, here he's coming downstairs now.
Oh, yeah.
Chop it up from there? Okay.
Okay.
You sweating too.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
First
See
Lady
that.
Theresa Russell is a wife, mother of 5, nurse,
Oh.
practitioner, and entrepreneur. She has helped to create the solid foundation for her family.
That looks good.
All right, we're rolling, so whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Keep my leg crossed.
I just hate I got my back turned to you.
Oh. Look at his eyes. They dancing too.
No.
Let your back be turned. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. Hello, I'm Pete Rhodes. Let's take it from top. Hello, I'm Pete Rhodes with my wife, Kim. We're owners of Black Music America Digital Network, Channel 937 on Comcast, and proud members of Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. It's an honor to share this conversation with you and featuring our honorable guests.
Pastor Billy G. Russell and First Lady Theresa Russell. Welcome.
Thank you.
In this 3-part series and conversation together, they will discuss their endless love, their family, and the journey to greater friendship and their life together in ministry.
And on the occasion of their retirement, they'll discuss the next episode.
So here's a little background on Pastor Billy G. Russell. He hails from a large Southern family of 12. He is a former football standout who became a standout school principal. He has a Bachelor's of Science, Master's in Education, and a doctorate. He is the current president of the Minnesota Baptist Convention and pastor of Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church.
And First Lady Theresa Russell is a wife, mother of 5, RN nurse practitioner, and entrepreneur. She has helped to create the solid foundation for her family and the ministry she loves.
Hang on. I'm sorry. Cut.
Okay.
I should have correct. I didn't see that.
Okay.
What?
Let's do it.
Yeah, he's 13.
It's 13. Okay.
Yeah, it's 13.
We don't want to miss one, and then what is it for me?
I'm 4, not 5.
Well, okay.
I was trying to count. Where's that?
Fifth child, yeah.
Okay, we got it. We got it.
You got us.
Where y'all get that info?
Talk about this later.
What did you do?
Oh,
I should have caught that.
That's okay.
So,
We got it.
13, she lost 2, so actually he grew up with 11. Yeah, so
13. Okay.
it's 13.
All right, we're going to start from the top. Hello, I'm Pete Rhodes with my wife, Kim, and we're owners of...
I know, it's you guys. That's okay. Breathe.
Hello, I'm Pete Rhodes with my wife, Kim, and we're owners of Black Music America Digital Networks 937 on Comcast, and proud members of Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. It's an honor to share this moment with you and the conversation featuring our honored guests.
Pastor Billy G. Russell and First Lady Theresa Russell. Welcome.
Thank you.
In this three-part conversation, together they will discuss their endless love, the family, and their journey to Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church and their life together in the ministry.
And on the occasion of the retirement, they'll discuss the next episode.
Here's a little background on Pastor Billy G. Russell. He hails from a large Southern family of 13. He's a former football standout who became a standout school principal. He's a bachelor as well. He ain't no bachelor.
No. Oh, let's make this fun, okay?
Should I get a napkin?
Am I sweating?
Oh, you
Where you want him to start from? Are you a bachelor? No. No. Fix your side pen there, too, Pete. Pete,
Huh?
fix that. There you go.
This is straight through, 3 times a charm. Hello, I'm Pete Rhodes, here with my lovely wife, Kim. And we are owners of Black Music America Digital Network, Channel 937 on Comcast, and we are proud members of Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. It's an honor to share this conversation and moment with our featured guests.
Pastor Billy G. Russell and First Lady Theresa Russell. Welcome.
Thank you.
In this 3-part series and conversation, together they will discuss their endless love, family, and their journey to greater friendship and their lives together in the ministry.
And on the occasion of the retirement, they'll discuss the next episode.
Here's a little background on Pastor Billy G. Russell. He hails from a large Southern family of 13. He's a former football standout and who became a standout school principal. He has a bachelor's in science, a master's in education, and a doctorate. He is the president of the Minnesota Baptist Convention and pastor of Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church.
First Lady Theresa Russell is a wife, mother of 4, RN nurse practitioner, and entrepreneur. She has helped to create the solid foundation for her family and the ministry she loves.
Together, their ministry motto is, "We are all one in spirit, and we are better together." We'll start off with you, Pastor Russell. Tell us a little bit about your roots and how it shaped your life's direction.
My roots, I'm from the roots, really, the sticks. That's funny you say roots, because, you know, growing up in Mississippi, I remember it was, a little place was called Blue Spring. It's still called Blue Spring. Mm-hmm. And the minister was behind why it was called Blue Spring. I just thought it was always a big blue spring, and it was like a little stream that ran behind the second house we had. But growing up in a house, a bunch of us in a 3-room house.
Wow.
And it was amazing. You could see straight through it when you opened the door.
Shotgun.
And shotgun, and maybe have this a little offset a little bit, but it was curtains for doors. And we was all just one big happy family. Didn't have nothing, but we didn't know we didn't have anything. So we were just happy.
That's great.
Growing up, and everything that we ate came from the field, and we picked these hands with our hands. We picked it, we shucked it, we shelled them. That's all I knew was farming. And seeing my daddy work so hard to make sure food was always on the table. And so that's the kind of environment I grew up in. Now, if you want me to go on, I could tell. I got a long story here, but
I'm sure you do, and one that we would all love to hear. But how did that shape your direction in life?
It taught me the value of hard work. I mean, growing up in the field, and I mean, it was no such thing as 6 to 6 or 7 to 7. It was sun to sun, or can to can't. What it ended up being, and it really taught me that if I work hard and really put all my effort to it, that I could have anything I wanted in life. And that's what it taught me.
That's beautiful.
And it also helped me to go to school, because I said I was not going to be in this field all my life.
Yeah.
So that really motivated me to go to the next level and make sure I got my education.
That's
I get
great.
it. Well, Pastor Russell, when did you meet and marry First Lady Theresa? And what challenges did you face as a family man and a young preacher?
Oh, wow.
I could say I met her and married her when we were 9 years old.
You knew.
Because on that day, I knew. And the way it happened, my sister played the piano, and my oldest sister was playing. She don't want me to say my oldest sister. Jean was playing for Dad, right? Okay. And she wanted to play. And I know it was at a revival meeting. They had a revival meeting, and she came home to stay with Jean. And I was always doing those stuff. Like I just mess with people. So I always used to mess with my sisters, and I would go down and just yank the cover off them and run out the room. Yeah. But this particular time, early that morning, because I was asleep by the time they got home, by the time she came, and I went just yanked the cover off, and I said, wait.
Who was that?
And it happened to be, that's who it was.
Wow.
And so I hadn't been going to church, but since it was at Galilee, it wasn't our home church. And Daddy went to church somewhere every night. But after that, I said, I'm going to church tonight. And we sit in the back seat of the car. Was it a black Chevrolet or black?
I don't
It was a black car. And we would sit in the back, and then, we started looking at each other,
Wow.
and then she act like she wasn't looking. Then I caught her looking.
Oh,
I like,
That's it.
that's it right there. So we was on the way right there. So, and so that growing up like that, and growing up in the church, and growing up when I didn't even know what love was, but I've grown up in love with her, and I don't care what happened or the things that happened along the way, that we maybe couldn't get married right then. But the bottom line is, I always knew in my heart that she was going to be the one.
That's beautiful.
That's
And,
fantastic.
so,
It's beautiful.
and here we are, almost 44 years later. So we've been together 53 years.
That's fantastic.
That's
Well,
great.
talk to us about the start of your ministry, Pastor. How old were you? Where did you start, and who was your mentor?
Daddy was my mentor, but I used to love hanging around all older preachers. But my daddy was my main one. But then Daddy had some great friends like Reverend Gardner, Reverend McGee, Reverend Watts, Reverend Harvey Leggett, all these kind of people that I like to hang around with them and talk to them and watch their style. And I think Reverend Gardner was the one that really helped me know how to just format a sermon. Because it was amazing to see how he could just put it together.
Yes.
Daddy showed me how to do a long sermon, because he, Daddy could preach an hour and a half easy. Easy, and he hadn't even got to the hoop yet. But growing up, doing that, watching those older preachers, and I had this thing I couldn't. When I first started, I really couldn't hoop because I listened. I was called at 18 years old.
Okay.
18 when God called me to preach, and I was in college playing football, and I told Daddy these words. I told Daddy didn't play. I came home and I said, Daddy, I think I'm called to preach. He said, that won't work. He said, you can't be thinking on this.
Right.
You got to know this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and it was actually like almost 5 years later before I came out and actually preached my first sermon. But my calling was announced when I was 18. And but I wanted to be sure. Daddy wanted to be sure. He pushed me hard, made me work hard, read hard, study hard, because he kept on saying, this is not to play with. And I'm glad he told me that. He worked with me like that. It's not to play with. Yeah. But then when I came out, and by this time, my sister's schoolgirl was playing the piano for Morning Star Church. And on that day, she tried to help me hoop on the end. But I couldn't quite get there. Just couldn't get right. And so what she did was she pulled me aside, and she had a piano at her house, and worked with me.
I see.
You know, she said, now, she said, do this. I'm like, she said, over here. She said, now, this is your key right here, C.
Wow.
She didn't want to have me preaching and singing in the key of C, because she taught me how to hoop in C, and made me work on it, because I would tell her name, but I won't call the name on it. She said, so I can't have you up there doing like,
right.
So I want you doing it right.
Right.
So,
right. The rest is history.
So the rest is history.
That leads to the next question for Sister Russell.
Proverbs 18:22 says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. When did you know that his journey would be your journey?
Oh, my goodness. I remember 4th of July. I don't even remember the year. But my first date, I was a teenager. 4th of July, and my grandmother, we were raised by our grandmother. My grandmother looked out the window and saw him coming across the yard and said, you know, that's your husband. I went, what?
Wow.
We were early teenagers. I said, Mom, you don't know him. He said, he's bad. Oh, no. I did. I really did. I said, you don't know him. She said, well, I don't care, but that's your husband.
Wow, so interesting.
So things, I said, well, whatever. And so, we had a good time on our 4th of July date. It was like a total of 6 of us. Because, you don't go by yourself.
No, you can't do that.
No, you don't go by yourself, and you come back with the same people.
Right, same 6.
Yeah, the same 6. Yeah. So we had a good time. It was very lovely. I learned a lot of things, and I went, you know what? And I was thinking about that the whole time, what my grandmother had said that whole day. And I said, I got to throw this out of my mind. Let me just enjoy my day. Right. This is too far down the road for me. So, but, on his calling when he was in college, then I got a call, and the rest is history. So that's a long story. So we're not going to take that for a long story.
That's great.
But I was living in Chicago at the time. I had moved back to Chicago, and I was living in Chicago, and I moved back at his request. And then that's when he asked me to marry him. And then, of course, when I thought about that, and when I heard that, and I accepted, I thought about what my grandmother said.
Sure.
And, of course, she was living then, which I am so grateful for. My heart pounds when I think about it.
Sure.
She was living then, and she was able to see it really come to pass.
That is beautiful.
And when did I find out that I was part of? Well, I married him.
Right.
So I am part of him. I am not separate for him. When he's called, I'm called. And I was looking at our wedding pictures, and I saw me standing beside him and right under him as if he's my protector. And he's been my protector the whole time.
That's
And we, like my mother-in-law, who is my mentor, says that the rib was not taken from the man's back.
Right.
It was taken from his side.
Right.
So I walk beside him and not behind him.
That's
And that's the
Beautiful.
way he carried me that way too.
Sure.
So
And that's so important in a
it
relationship.
is. It very is. And that it has to be known
Right.
that. It has to be understood that.
I understand. And then also I want to ask you, what has been your most rewarding moments being part of this ministry?
And you know,
Oh, you want
just before we get to the next part, I went to Chicago and got her.
yeah.
Oh,
I was working for my uncle in Detroit. So this I mean,
That's
well, outside of Detroit, Ypsilanti. So this got to be known. My uncle had an old '68 Pontiac Catalina or something that he hadn't driven. It had been set up in a barn. And I got this thing. I said, she came to my brother's wedding. And I just like, we can't wait no longer.
Gotta go get her.
I'm going to get her. So,
going to get my
and I had never been to Chicago.
No.
Never been to Chicago. So I told her to give me an address where she lived.
My gosh.
And that was that adventure.
Wow.
So when I got to Chicago in that old car, I mean, just like, you got to know, I drove from Detroit to Chicago in that. And then that's how we drove. When I finally got to her, because I stayed lost in Chicago for 6 hours.
I believe it.
Yeah, before I finally got to her. And because, I mean, that was my first time seeing the Skyway thing. When I pulled up and saw that thing, I was like, what in the world?
Where am I going?
He ended up on the Skyway.
Oh, he got on the Skyway.
I stopped on the Skyway. Oh, look. And folks passing by blowing. I mean, it is a story. When I finally got down, headed where she was, I didn't know I was used to seeing red lights up there. Not on the side of the street.
Right.
So I was running every one of the red lights. I'm thinking people just being friendly. I'm hey, waving. Until one guy pulled up next to me and said, "You running red lights?"
Running lights.
We're running lights. What is that? But that was that's how bad I wanted to get there and get her. And we came to Blue Spring.
Yes.
Blue Springs.
Beautiful love story.
It is. It really is.
Yes.
So what is your rewarding moments, one of your rewarding moments being in the ministry together with Pastor Russell?
Oh, there were so many. First of all, the beginning, we're getting married, and we're married, then having our lovely children. Now, take for granted that our first child was a special needs child. And when I say special needs, I mean special needs. So that took a lot of work, a lot of energy. But I had a wonderful extended family. I had a wonderful, and I don't like to call mother-in-law, father-in-law, and all of that. A mother in love, a father in love, uncles and aunts and all of that who really helped.
That's great.
And it made it easier even for our ministry because I had to go with him. And we just loaded up the kids a lot of time and just took them with us. But then sometimes we could not. So that's when we were like 500 yards from his mom and dad's house. And of course, my grandmother was living during that time, and she was so helpful. And my sisters, sometimes they would come because they were out of town. Some of them were out of town. They would come and help. So I had a lot of help. And that was rewarding to me because a lot of people don't have that.
Right.
And I thank God for the family. And that's why I try to pay it forward. To let somebody else know you're not here by yourself. You're not here alone. You got somebody to help you. So the rewarding, and let me go back, before he accepted his calling, now we were married. His first calling he thought he was called was at 18. Then we got married. Were we 21 yet or were we 20? We were 20, going on 21. And so he fought, oh my gosh, he fought and he fought. He would break lamps on the nightstand. He fought, he would get up running and all of that, and almost hit me. I just happened to, the good Lord woke me up. The good Lord woke me up.
He's good, isn't he?
He's good. Saved my life, because that hit would have crashed my skull probably.
From the dreams.
In the dreams. So he finally accepted the calling. That was my rewarding moment, because it saved my life from all that fighting. So after his calling, after he accepted his calling, then he didn't fight like that anymore.
That's great.
So it was, and I could see that change in him, and that was rewarding for me to know that, okay, this is real. You know, this is really weird, really, really real. And so I had a lot, and you know, growing up, and there's just a lot of rewarding
Great
moments
memory.
for me.
That's
And I hate to just pick one or two, but just the seed of it.
right.
You know, seeing him and how he fought before he accepted the calling.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, as we end this first series, segment of this three-part series of A Beautiful Life, we can already see. Pastor Russell, we want to ask you, what will you remember most fondly about once you got that real calling and you started ministry? What will you remember that will set it apart from everything else?
I won't forget the sermon I preached. I preached about Jonah, because that's what really I had to fight my way out of a whale, about fish belly. That's what I was swinging and going on. So, and I screamed out to the Lord, "I'll go. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm tired of running." And just knowing the joy of saying yes, it was a joy of saying yes, and the joy of that first time. Although I had already been doing ministry, because you didn't stay on Will Russell House, you didn't do some ministry around the church. So I had been doing ministry, but my first time getting behind the podium and actually preaching, it was nothing like that joy. And then from that point, it was only a few months before I was called to my first church. And thank God at this time I knew I was standing on my daddy's shoulders, because everybody knew Daddy. And when they found out Will Russell had a son preaching, and people started calling me to come preach. And within those first few months, I did a lot of revivals. I preached so many places, all out of town, in town, around town, everywhere town. And but then I got called to a small church, and I'm thinking, like, my first church, I'm thinking that it's going to be a great big church, because by now, I'm standing on my daddy's shoulders, and I think I'm turning out to be a pretty good preacher. So when this church first called me and said, "We want you to come preach for us and think about being our pastor," I had never been to the church before. So we drove down to the church in our little 81 Toyota Tucson. Was it 81, 80 Toyota Tucson? Yeah, yeah. And I pulled up, I was like, I mean, the yard was grass, it growed all up. It wasn't painted, it was a block building. And when I got in the building, you should have seen the condition of the office. And then the floors were, no carpet on the floor, there was that tile that was down to the concrete.
Wow.
And in my own spirit, I'm like, I know you're not calling me to something like this. Matter of fact, they called me as pastor, and then I told them no. And I told my daddy. He said, "You said what?" I told him no. I said, they were helping about 10 and 15 people. They can pastor themselves. I got a degree. I was supposed to be at a big church.
Right.
So this time I had got had my master's degree. Yeah, I already had so I went straight through the school and got my master's degree, and I'm like, you know.
So what was his words of wisdom for you for
He
that?
told me, boy, if you don't get your tail down there past that church, he said, let me tell you something. If you don't take that church, you won't get another one. He said, this is a test to see. He said, if you don't do it, then you won't get another one.
Yeah, yeah.
So I couldn't get back down there fast enough. and the rest is history there. I mean, that first church, that was really my most rewarding church. And the time, see how that church grew.
Yes.
And it really showed me what God could do with a few people that catch fire.
That's
And
right.
that's what happened. We caught fire.
Yeah.
That's
And when I got ready to leave that church, my wife and I went down there on a Wednesday night, and I was going to tell them that Wednesday night, but we pulled up to the church, and them folks were praying so hard like the whole building was shaking. And I mean, Lord, don't take them. Don't let them. I'm like, oh, Lord, I can't tell these folks tonight. Okay. And I didn't tell them that night, did I?
I don't think so.
Because
God
what
works
happened, these folks,
It was tough.
the way these folks come got me, they came as visitors to that church. It was that little small church. It wasn't small anymore. It was the largest church now. But they came from Monticello, and I saw who are all these people? They guests here today. So I said, we got some guests here today. As I was getting ready to close out, I said, would y'all please stand and let us know who you are? And Deacon Lewis got up and said, yep, my name is Deacon Lewis, and I'm from Pearl Valley in Monticello, Mississippi. And we're looking for a pastor. And we think we found him today.
That's the beginning of the next chapter. Well, this has been a beautiful journey in the beginning, finding out how you came together in both personally as well as this ministry. It kind of gives us an overview of the greatness that God bestowed upon you both to be leaders, and we certainly appreciate that. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to find out a little bit more about the Russells.
Yes.
Well, now, it's a blessing to us, Pastor and First Lady. We're so happy that you ignored that famous phrase as we start off part 2. You know that famous phrase that